Welcome to the Cross Canada Spotlight. I'm Mike Arsenault. Every week we take a look at a handful of the most interesting and entertaining stories produced across the Global News Network. This week we start on the West Coast in Vancouver, where two friends, both touched by cancer, are joining forces to run a marathon to raise money to fight the disease. Meet Lise, who beat cancer last year, and Grace, whose 4-year-old son is currently battling brain cancer.
There's a saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Understand their experiences, thought processes, and challenges.
Ready? Let's go. All right.
Well, these two have decided to run instead. 26.2 miles to be exact.
So we're doing a marathon, which is 42.29.
42.2 is sufficient.
But Lise Berube and Grace Lohr are no strangers to putting themselves to the test. In May of last year, when Berube was fresh off 5 rounds of radiation to attack the stage 4 cancer in her breast, brain, her heart, and those hard-working lungs, she conquered her first marathon.
If I don't do it now, I'm pretty aware there might not be a chance.
And Lohr had her back every step of the way, right to the finish line. But a lot has changed since then. Berube's health has stabilized while Lohr ran for office and won, elected MLA for Victoria Beacon Hill last fall. But in February, she announced she was taking a step back. This time, it was her family facing a health crisis.
We found a tumor in my 4-year-old son's brain, and so life threw a curveball.
Asher's medical team believes his tumor, while in a bad spot, is treatable. But it's been a lot to process. Through all the consults, tests, and appointments, running has been a constant. And now it's Berube who has Lohr's back.
When challenges like these are presented, it's just that opportunity to keep going and to step it up and just do more because of it.
For these two, that includes this upcoming marathon, now just a little more than a week away.
We're ready to rock.
Yeah.
The pair is raising money for the Callanish Society, a small Vancouver-based nonprofit that supports people living and dying from cancer. So far, more than $150,000 has been raised.
We're so excited. I think everyone's been kind of blown away by the amount of money we've raised.
But what's more impressive is that given the circumstances, these two aren't giving up. Instead, approaching this marathon like they approach any challenge that's thrown at them.
It's a metaphor for all of us right now.
You know, things will get better and then they will get worse and they will continue to ebb and flow and change, and that's just part of life.
And it's always a little easier to keep pace with someone by your side.
We were tough when we did this last year. We're tougher still this year.
Kylie Stanton, Global News, Victoria.
Well, good luck to both Lise and Grace. Their original plan was to run the Boston Marathon together, but instead settled for their own 2-person marathons the past 2 years because of the pandemic. And they just need a little bit more support to reach that fundraising goal. During the pandemic, we could all use a little bit more support. Well, a senior named Helen in Calgary took it upon herself to raise spirits and put smiles on faces in her neighborhood with some kind words and long-distance hugs.
It's hard to know which came first, the desire to get herself out of solitude or the will to help her neighbors feel less alone. Either way, 84-year-old Helen Usich didn't wait for the happy to come to her.
And I felt like a bird in a cage. I felt so, what I'm gonna do?
She went out and seized it.
Love you. God's blessings to you. There it is, I can do.
Blowing kisses and giving air hugs is her trademark.
Hello, beautiful.
Giving them to countless strangers every single day.
I didn't realize that it would be so meaningful to so many people, that it would spread like a virus.
This has become a ritual for Helen, a calling even she never knew she could answer.
I never would dream that something like that would happen to me, because when I was young, I was very introverted. I was very shy. Somehow I survived, and now that's why I can't believe that's me. I can cry with, as I said, with the goodness of a heart, and with to thank God, you know, what He can do. Only God can arrange something like that.
Her simple gestures of love have endeared an entire community.
Hello, handsome. Good to see you.
We're missing each other. We're missing hugs, and have hugs for a long time. And then I saw Helen, and I felt like I got the hug I needed.
To me, it was a ray of sunshine
in a really tough year for everybody. So it's just a joy to see her out there every day.
Hello, hi, beautiful.
There she is, this little woman full of love, and it's not about her, it's about, her hugs and her waves and just her warmth. So that's Helen.
Love you.
We could use some more Helens in the world.
Thank you, thank you.
No, Helen, thank you. Jill Croteau, Global News.
I think I need to hire Helen as my very own hype woman, or maybe just get a recording of her saying, "Hello, handsome," every time I wake up in the morning. Helen, let's set something up. Now to another impressive senior citizen, we go back to Vancouver to meet Jack, a 91-year-old in hospice care who has a song in his heart about the city that he loves.
Few things bring Jack Roach more joy than a good song. This one in particular.
He is here, I can make it anywhere. Well, I figure I made it here. The house is worth $2 million, so I figure I made it here.
Here is Vancouver, where home since November has been St. John Hospice. Over the last 91 years, Jack has lived in many places, but Vancouver has always been special. Why?
The weather, of course.
Was there anything else?
Well, I met my wife here. Yeah, that's enough to like the town.
Every springtime when he was back east or up north in the cold, he'd remember Vancouver and the cherry blossoms.
Jack has long wanted to express his feelings about this city in music, but he was a tradesman, not a songwriter, until...
I'm lying there in the bed one night there, and they come out. I'm back to the city that I love. It's true.
And so it was that the lyrics finally came to him.
Vancouver, Vancouver, I'm back to my city by the sea.
I'm back to my city by the sea, with its great parks and high mountains with their...
Of course, composing the melody was another matter. That's where music therapist Joshua Denny Keys comes in.
And he said, well, you're the professional, so you do it. He did make one note. He said he wanted it to have I am back in it.
I am back, this is where I'm meant to be.
There's this misconception that palliative care or hospice care, it's the end. And in many ways, it's the start of the final chapter.
The warm and loving St. John Hospice, where the river meets the sea.
My dad's not going quietly into that dark night, let's put it that way.
It's where I'm meant to be.
Linda Aylesworth, Global News.
You know, that story really just shows you how healing and therapeutic music can be. I know goofing around on the guitar always makes me feel better when I'm not at my best. And Jack definitely has some lyrical talent. Speaking of talent, I loved what music therapist Josh did with the lyrics to create that melody. I think they might have a hit on their hands. In addition to music, people have been developing all sorts of different hobbies to occupy their time during the pandemic. Have you ever tried beekeeping? Let's head to New Brunswick for more.
When Matt Casey decided to launch a beekeeping supply business in the middle of a pandemic,
people thought I was crazy.
Turns out the idea was pretty sweet. Matt says right now there is a buzz around beekeeping. He says the hobby has been growing in popularity over the last year.
There's a lot more people from sort of all different walks of life wanting to get into beekeeping. And I don't know if it's because of the lockdown, people were just more in tune with nature, but it definitely has increased.
So much so that this week he opened a retail store to accommodate the newbies.
We have a lot of fields around our house, and we decided last year during the pandemic that we were going to grab some bees so that we could start having honey, and we just to help the pollinators in the province as well.
Which in New Brunswick is vital according to the New Brunswick Beekeepers Association, which says there's not enough hives in the province to satisfy the needs in the agriculture sector. New Brunswick relies heavily on importing honeybees from other provinces to pollinate some farm crops, so the association is trying to recruit more local beekeepers to take up the trade.
Beekeeping is not for the faint of heart. It actually is work.
He says beekeeping takes patience and dedication and a willingness to learn the ropes, sometimes the hard way.
You have to enjoy getting stung. That's important.
All jokes aside, COVID may be creating a real buzz around the hobby of beekeeping, but it's also creating some challenges for Matt. He's having a hard time accessing beekeeping protective clothing, most of which is made in India, now experiencing a surge in COVID-19 cases. But business is still booming, and Matt says some new hobbyists are already considering expanding into the commercial market. Pond just hopes they will stick to it even after the pandemic is over.
You don't want people getting in to keep beekeeping, and then 2 years later, we've got a whole bunch of beekeeping equipment on sale.
Shelley Steeves, Global News, Sussex, New Brunswick.
To be honest, I've been scarred for life from being around bees since Macaulay Culkin got stung at the end of My Girl. So I don't think it's for me, but it's great to see that others in Atlantic Canada and across the country are picking up beekeeping because it is really so important for the environment. Our last story brings us to Ontario, where a war has begun between rival businesses over signs. Check it out.
So this is not something you see every day. Local businesses have taken part in poking fun at one another to help raise some community spirit through sign wars. The staff at Friendly Fires lit the initial spark.
City of the United States that actually had started it. And then we just thought it'd be kind of a neat idea to dovetail on that great idea and to get it going here, and it just took off.
And now things are really heating up. A number of local businesses have jumped on the bandwagon, taking turns calling one another out on their signs, using puns and some real zingers for a little good nature ribbing.
And, our goal is just to, lift people's spirits, get them smiling, get them laughing, and really enjoying the sign wars.
The Memorial Center, the Petes aren't playing, so they've got lots to talk about. So, they should be involved as well.
The so-called sign wars are not just for retail stores. The city and even the local police service are getting in on the action. For some, like Kawartha Food Share, the only thing standing in the way was the lack of a sign. But even that couldn't stop them.
Well, we just jumped on board this morning. We've had so many laughs the last couple of days following along with it. And so there was a couple comments made in our warehouse yesterday, like, God, I wish we had a sign. And I'm like, well, we could make that happen. So far, so good.
The main goal here is to give people an escape from these difficult times.
I could not be more happy with my team here and all the support from all the other businesses in town.
We all are just, tired and want the world back to normal, and a little bit of fun and laughter during these times is so appreciated.
You can still have fun without being held back by everything else.
Even we here at Chorus Peterborough couldn't resist after being called out by Merritt's ourselves. Global News and our sister radio stations 101.5 The Wolf and 100.5 Fresh Radio are getting in on this friendly war of words. Don't be surprised if you see more sign wars popping up throughout the community and beyond. Where it is, it's going on across the province. Trisha Mason, Global News.
I think once local churches get involved in this sign war, the competition will be over. Churches always seem to have the wittiest and most clever sayings on their signs. They always seem to go viral on social media. It works on me. I've always been a sucker for a good pun. Well, that's it for the Cross Canada Spotlight for this week. Be sure to watch Global News Weekend Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the Global TV app. For now, stay tuned for more news and weather.